here's my review of The Promised Neverland, Chapter 157. The world is mine! 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 It's all mine! Ah. And first off, small correction to a mistake I've been making for a long time here. I assumed this guy right here, I assumed he was the god, the one Sonja kept referring to when he was saying he was the will of the god. But upon rereading it, I realized that is definitely wrong. For one thing, he's been saying gods this whole time, not God, which should have been a big clue there. And what's more, this he hates the deal, the promise that was made. He absolutely despises it and says it goes against natural order, defies the wills of the gods, which would be kind of confusing if he was one of the, gods that he was been praying to this whole time. Basically, God came down and said, "Hey, everyone, just have sex whatever hell you want, go nuts." And then people were still saying, "It's against the will of the god to have sex with that many people." So yeah, definitely a case where this guy is not a god. I'm calling him Demon God, and I'm just going to start calling him the Promise Maker. That seems like an apt title for him. So yeah, Sonju, not a big fan of the Promise Maker or the Promise itself. And we get a good glimpse into who he is and why he feels this way when he's hunting a human. And we actually, this shot right here is really well done. I didn't pay too much attention. It was just kind of gruesome the first time I was looking at it, but it just really shows the circle of life, how it works. I mean, the butterflies eat the flowers, fish eat the butterflies, birds eat the fish, mammals eat the birds, and then when the mammals die, they rot away and turn back into plants for the butterflies to eat. It's the circle of life. I cannot sing. I really can't. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry for that. So yeah, essentially they aren't, really hunting. They aren't taking lives. They're borrowing the energy that originated from the gods. And when they die, it'll be returned to the earth, and then others will eat off that, and it'll continue on forever. It's the will of the gods. The cycle keeps continuing, and the promise broke that. Essentially, it's created a world where the demons are never brought back to the earth, where they're never, made food for the humans who they eat. And essentially, humans are being grown without really contributing to the food cycle as it probably should be. They're grown in captivity, and then the demons eat them, and then the demons eat more of them, and then the demons eat more of them. And eventually, I guess you could say, when the demons die, they return to the earth, and that becomes the fruit they harvest, which is brought back to the humans, but that still doesn't sound quite right to me, and I have a lot of questions about that just in general. Haven't seen much human food in the demon world. I see a bunch of foods, but none of it looks like what the humans are actually, eating in the orphanages. I mean, they have horses in this world, this demonic world, but I never saw, anything else, like pigs or cows being farmed by demons before, which, that raises a whole separate question about the ecology and how this whole world works. We'll get into that later. So yeah, his main problem is, the promise breaks the order, the cycle of this world. And it looks like his teacher might have even been arrested for going against the promise, for saying it was wrong and sick and disgusting. I mean, you see him here being held back by the guards, Someone just trying to defend him, but I'm guessing that's right around the time he was killed. Also, just really curious about Sonju's body. I mean, we get this great shot of him right here. I know we've seen this before. I'm just kind of curious about its reasoning now. We got this, blackness that's spread across his body, almost looks like an infection of sorts that's slowly taking him, that's slowly transforming him. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a tattoo, like a religious thing, or if it has another purpose. Let me know what you think about that down below. Anyway, yeah, then when they all have the whole orphans all wait a minute, he's your brother? She's your sister? What's going on here? I love that even Norman is shocked by this, which I feel is a good justification for why he so ridiculously underestimated Sonju. He sent his guards out to go kill him, and Sonju just made child's play with them. I mean, they were literally nothing compared to him. Before they could even blink, he was behind one of them and managed to take out the rest like it was nothing else. So yeah, that's a good explanation right there. I'm guessing that at some point, Sonju was declared dead or written out of history so that everyone thought he was dead or something, so that Norman wouldn't have thought, okay, well, if we're getting rid of the whole royal family, we also got to get rid of their long-lost son. I wonder where he is. Oh, he's traveling with the ill-blooded woman. I mean, it makes sense because no one actually knew the evil blood woman was still alive. Norman was shocked by that. So it also makes sense, that was covered up, so it makes sense. And, that was covered up, so it makes sense that Sonju running away with her was also covered up. I think it's a little weird that they're still referring to evil-blooded. I mean, even Sonju refers to Musica as the evil-blooded. I mean, that's your girlfriend? Wife? Traveling companion? I'm still a little unclear of exactly what these two are to each other. I'm going to assume they're in a relationship after all these years, or maybe just like a disciple of hers, and I honestly couldn't say right now. Anyway, yeah, he's mad about the whole promise storing everything that they made with the Promise Keeper, which does explain why way back when Musica gave Emma the locket in secret, because she figured Sonja would get upset about it, about the Promise Keeper being, brought in this again after he screwed everything up the first time. Also, if the Promise Keeper isn't a god, I'm kind of curious if the gods are real. I mean, it raises the whole mythology thing. Is mythology real? But if, the gods Sonja worships are in fact real, and not just something someone made up a while ago, or could they end up having a role in this, in the world in general? I mean, are they going to, kill the Promise Maker for going against their will? I don't know. It seems unlikely. That'd definitely be interesting. Anyway, then Musica's like, okay, now get the hell out of here, kids, so we can deal with all this. We're like, oh, no, we can't. Zazzie's too hard to move, which feels like an interesting explanation for keeping them here. Oh, we can't leave because our friend's injured, not because, the story demands that we stay here for the big climactic finish. And we're like, can you imagine a story where the kids just left and then Sonja Music came back like 20 minutes later, like, hey, we killed her, it's all right now. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. So yeah, they're just saying, oh, he's injured, we can't move. Anyway, then we get the full explanation about why the queen's still alive. Turns out she has 2 cores, which I think was the basic assumption among most of the fan base by this point. Though not in the way I think a lot of us were expecting, because it turns out it's not that every royal has that, it's only some. It's a very rare trait, very secret trait, that's not really that well known or understood. And they even explain that of the children of the last king, only she has 2 cores, which kind of eliminates the theory that Archduke Lubis is still alive out there somewhere. I mean, it feels weird that they said they couldn't find his body after the whole thing flooded, so I'm not sure what's up with that, but I don't know. Maybe he found his own way of splitting his core in half or something. And Sonja's pretty amused that the humans managed to take out her first core, but now she's worse, more powerful. He wonders if this is like the second core, like, oh, when someone activates from their second core, do they get stronger? Do they obtain a new form? But then he's like, no, that's stupid. If that was the case, people would have told me about that, Then my sister would have killed herself years ago just so she could activate her second core and be revived way more powerful. What I think is happening here is that because she was able to absorb so much food in the process of being revived from her second core, that stuff, the pieces that she ate, was able to become more of a part of her, more of who she was, more ingrained in her, rather than something that just wears off after a couple hours, so that she's more in tune with all the things she's eaten, all the demons and people she's eaten. She even says she has all their powers and their memories, where way back in Goldie Ponds, when the one demon ate his mates, which was weird, he said that he had to do it while the memories were still fresh before they faded away. This seems more like they've become permanently part of her, and that's why she's so much stronger now. Anyway, so then he tries to cut her in half, and that doesn't go well because she's, basically made of glue, and then she cuts off Sonja's arm, which they're all freaking out about. I'm like, yeah, he did that himself like an hour ago. I don't think it's that big a deal. I mean, it might slow him down, but he seems pretty quick at regenerating. Shows us something very interesting. Don't you understand? I have achieved that state. That state. She did something like that last chapter too that was interesting. It almost sounds like this form, this being that she's attained, is something the demons know about, like something one of their ancestors were able to do, where like once you've eaten enough or once you've grown enough, then you aren't really considered a demon. You're like a high-class demon, or you're an archdemon or whatever. Like, this is something that's been like told about, but no one's ever actually been able to do it themselves. And then she gets even crazier. This is the world of the chosen one. All of the world is mine. All lives my food. The subordinates, citizens, enemies, humans, even my family. I will eat more than anyone and become stronger than anyone. So yeah, whole another level of crazy. And then she grows a bunch of mouths and tries to eat Musica, but she stopped when she realizes that Musica isn't afraid of her. She pities her. Which is absolutely freaking baller right there, and just proof that Musica is like the greatest character in all of manga ever. You poor creature. Why are you so desperate to fill your hunger? Love it. I'm seeing some concerns on the community online that people are afraid that, oh, Musica is gonna use her talking no jutsu to get out of this. She's gonna talk her down, and then the queen's gonna be good and nice and not a monster anymore, and she'll raise a democratic society. I do not think that's gonna happen. Not at all whatsoever. My thoughts, next chapter, we're gonna get some flashbacks of the queen's childhood, of when she became, this horribly monstrous, why she's so desperate to eat and be the best of them all. I mean, this has clearly been going on for a while, because Sonja even says that she was always a dreadful monster I didn't want to get near. I mean, I'm assuming there's quite a couple 100 years difference between the two of them, so he might have missed, what was going on with her back then. I mean, maybe a human killed her lover, and then after she ate what remained of her mate, she felt better, and now she's trying to keep filling that hole over and over again, or something. I'm not sure, but I don't think that's going to, realizing that's going to stop her in any way. I think it's more likely it's going to put her in this blind, homicidal rage that's going to make her a lot sloppier and give Sonja the chance to destroy her last core. Though, like I said before, Emma, Ray, Norman, they got to play some kind of role in this. I mean, yeah, it's because of them, mostly Norman, that the first core was destroyed, but I have to feel like they have to play a part here some way, somehow. And then after that's Queen Musica, King Sonja. I mean, they basically save the entire world, and they blame, all the mutations. Actually, they could blame, I was going to say they should just blame Norman, but they can blame Gillen's party for, spreading the poison. The humans came in to stop him or something. And in the process, the queen was killed. I could definitely see them taking a very easy roll to the throne that way. But again, let me know what you think down below. Can Musica stop the queen, or is she just going to make her angrier? Are the people going to accept the long-lost prince as the new king? I think so, certainly. So yeah, be sure to like, subscribe so you don't miss my next video. Until then, peace.